So Star Fox is back with a new Switch 2 game that's revisiting a much loved N64 classic. But depending on where you grew up, you might actually remember it by a completely different name. But do you know why? Let's get into it. See, if you grew up in the UK like myself, or in other PAL regions across Europe and beyond, then you didn't play Star Fox on the Super Nintendo. You played Star Wing. And when the series went to 3D in 1997, most of the world got to enjoy Star Fox 64. But as for me, I was playing Lylat Wars. Two different consoles, two different-ish games, and two different names, but the same Fox McCloud kind of throughout though. So what gives, right? The short answer is apparently something to do with a German company. The longer answer is actually a touch more uncertain. See, when Nintendo was gearing up to launch the impressive Super FX showcase that is Star Fox, it's alleged that a legal issue was kind of like flagged as a potential problem for the European launch of the game in the summer of 1993. Now, the game arrived in Japan in February,
Star Fox,
and it landed stateside a month later in March. But those in Europe had to wait until early June before the rail shooter was seen on store shelves. Now, such gaps kind of between international game releases wasn't uncommon at all throughout the 90s and early 2000s because like translation and localization efforts weren't always aligned. And I imagine this name change can't have helped things much either.
Starwing from Nintendo.
But what actually was this legal problem? Apparently there was already a company operating within Germany under the name of Star Vox. And if my kind of like pitiful Duolingo efforts have taught me anything, it's that the German letter V is pronounced like an F. So Star Vox, with your best German accent, basically has you saying Star Fox.
Star Fox.
Star Fox. Nintendo decided it was close sounding enough to be a risk, so rather than have a fight on their hands, they decided to just change the name. It was likely the right move, I guess, because this was like a brand new property for Nintendo, and it was also the debut of their Super FX chip, which was a huge deal for Nintendo during the SNES era. So getting into a messy legal drama that could have potentially delayed the launch of this significant release clearly wasn't the way to go. So Star Wing it was. Problem solved. I mean, the same concern was still live come like 1997 when the N64 version arrived, so the rather excellent Star Fox 64 was christened Lylat Wars, named after the Lylat system where the game takes place. This name is definitely a better pick than Star Wing, I reckon. The source for all of this? Well, Nintendo Life actually reached out to both Dylan Cuthbert and Jez Sand, two of the developers from Argonaut, the UK studio that actually built the Super FX chip and co-developed the original game. They mentioned how Nintendo wanted to change the name to avoid any confusion. I've dropped a link to the 2012 Nintendo Life article in the description below. Jez Sand mentioned specifically that, personally, I think both companies overreacted, and there was no chance that Star Fox and Star Vox would have created confusion between the two brands. Now, I'm no legal expert, but I kind of agree. But better safe than sorry though, right? I guess that's kind of the approach they took. Anyway, I actually tried to find evidence of what this German Star Vox company was and what they actually did. You know, was it an obvious clear clash with what Nintendo were doing at the time? But I haven't had much luck though. Whatever issue Nintendo had with the Star Fox name clearly went away in the early 2000s, as starting with Rare's Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube, Nintendo decided to just use the same Star Fox name globally. And ever since then, we've all been calling it the very same thing. Now, I couldn't find any archive website, any news clippings, or any business registry entries, nothing. I went through loads of like random German websites trying to find this name. Sure, there are like other Star Vox things online now, but they are either new companies or things that have kind of cropped up after all of this. They're not German, or they're neither, they're neither German or like old. The company seems to kind of like predate any online archive that I can find. Now, there is one glaring thing that does require a mention, and that's something that happened back in 1987. See, a game literally called Star Fox was published for the ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, and the Amstrad CPC by a company called Ariolasoft, and it was even like a sci-fi shooter. So what's interesting here is that, well, Ariolasoft are a German publishing company. So could this be a case of two things being kind of like muddled together? We've got a German company, and although they're not called Star Vox, they published a game called Star Fox. It sounds to me like this might be actually what happened here, and the kind of wires have been crossed, but I honestly couldn't tell you. I'd still be kind of curious to learn for sure if there is a Star Vox company, but this does feel more likely. Either way, what we can say though is that Nintendo clearly had their reasons. They renamed the game twice over two different platforms. That's no accident, something was clearly making their legal team a touch nervous. Now, whether that was a German company name, a registered trademark, a feared court case, some overly cautious lawyers, or a mix of all of those, we're not 100% on the details. But if you are in Germany and know any details about this kind of like supposed Star Vox company and what they did, I would love to know. So please do drop a comment if you have any idea where to look, because I'm sure that would be really, really interesting. But no matter what the truth actually is, the reality is that from 2002 onwards, it stopped mattering. Starwing and Lylat Wars became kind of like curiosities, I guess. They're kind of like regional artifacts from a specific moment in time when a small phonetic quirk in one language was apparently enough to reshape how millions of players know one of Nintendo's most iconic series. And now there's a new Star Fox game called Star Fox, no matter where you live.